this story is pretty neat. Chris Marshall, why don't you come on up here?
Sure.
Chris Marshall is actually our school resource officer who actually knows these kids, and he is actually the one that recognized them and gave them coins. And what happened was, on September 24th, at about 12:30 in the afternoon, Uriah and Liam had gone into the bathroom at their elementary school when they noticed that another student had placed a string around another student's neck and began choking him. Uriah and Liam realized it was not horseplay when the student's face began to turn red. Uriah and Liam jumped in, removed the string, and then placed themselves between the victim and the attacker. Uriah and Liam exited the bathroom with the victim and immediately told the staff what happened. This is a true example of heroism, bravery, and acting selflessly. Great job, guys. On March 22nd of 2021, at approximately 5 o'clock, Carter and his friend were walking through Mead Park. They were going fishing on spring break. When they noticed what they thought was a gun underneath the trees that lined West River Drive, or West Clark Street, right by the bridge. Weren't quite sure if it was a real gun, but it looked like a real gun. They recognized that this is a huge safety concern. It's obviously in a park, and they called the police. When officers arrived, the officers looked at the firearm and obviously realized it was a real gun. And then when they went to go make it safe, it was actually loaded at that time. It was because of Carter and his friends' actions that day that nobody else was injured, especially children. So Carter, thank you for making the right decision. So this is Larry Austin. If you paid attention to the news, he was involved in an incident that occurred on August 31st. It started at approximately 8 a.m. It occurred on Water Street near Bliss Avenue. The Stevens Point Police Department responded to a theft complaint. It was extremely hot that day, and the individual that we were looking for took off running, entered a residence, and then was able to get on top of the roof on this hot day. We began negotiations, but we weren't successful. The subject refused to come down, and then he ended up making comments about harming himself. Larry became aware of the incident and responded to the scene to assist us in speaking with this individual who he had a close relationship with. The first attempt that Larry tried was not successful. Larry left the scene. We had been there for about 4 hours during this hot incident, and Larry returned with a case of water and food for everybody that was there at the perimeter. At one point in the incident, we all came to the decision that the best way to de-escalate the situation to try to get him down was to actually leave the scene, which is very difficult for law enforcement to do. But Larry remained on the scene and was able to talk this individual down off the roof. Larry's actions showed his investment into this community, his concern to help the police peacefully end a very stressful incident involving someone that he was close to, and we know that this incident wouldn't have resolved without any further incidents without your help that day. So thank you very much. This is John, and on June 2nd at approximately 10:30 in the morning, John called in a suspicious person that possibly was trespassing or burglarizing his neighbor's residence. John did an incredible job on focusing on the details and was able to provide us with a description of the subject and also let officers that responded know that the individual is still inside the house. Officers set up a perimeter and gave verbal commands for the subject to come out of the house. The subject exited, was apprehended and arrested for criminal trespassing after a short investigation. And I don't know if John knows this, but the individual that was arrested was actually a convicted felon and had prior burglaries in his record. It was because of John's attention to detail and his surroundings that this individual was apprehended and apprehended safely. So thank you. August 6th, at approximately 9 p.m., officers responded to the 200 block of West Clark Street. It was for an elderly male that was not breathing, and he was inside of a vehicle. Upon the officers' arrival, they observed that somebody had actually pulled the victim out of the car and started CPR. This citizen was Zach. Zach kept performing CPR until the Stevens Point medics arrived on scene and took over. The medics continued working on the patient and were able to get a pulse and the breathing status back before transporting the victim to the hospital. Zach is a volunteer firefighter for the Rudolph Fire Department and heard the medical page for a male not breathing. Even though Zach was off duty, he responded because he was close. He helped get the victim out of the car and start compressions. This unselfish act is what makes this such an incredible community.
So I was walking back with a fishing buddy, and then we were walking back and we were trying to fish by Cash Park to see if we got any luck. And then surprisingly, we checked the bush. I thought it was a lawnmower handle, but it wasn't, and then it turned out to be a gun, and it could have really ruined somebody's life. And it could have been horrible. I got my phone out, I called 911, and the detectives came and everything. I'm not really that important, like, to the cops or anything like that. Like, that's what they do for a living. Yeah.
We went to the bathroom and we saw a guy that had a string and started choking somebody. And it was one of we were close friends, and then we stepped in and helped him, and then we ran back to our classroom and told our teacher. Well, I didn't even know it was coming. I just did it because I was helping somebody, but when I walked in and I saw a police officer, I was a little bit nervous for a second, and I didn't know that I was going to get that coin, but I was pretty excited.
Well, me and my friend were using the bathroom after recess, and my other friend was washing his hands, and this kid came in the bathroom and started choking him with a white piece of string or yarn, and we helped him and got him off. We got the string off of his neck because he needed help, and no one was in there except us two, and we helped him when we were done using the bathroom. Stand up.